Sex education versus abstinence-only programs within our schools has been a huge debate for more than 15 years as to what we should be teaching within our school systems. Some say that the abstinence-only programs are what we need to have within our schools, while obviously others say that the sex education is what we have to have. We need to be teaching students both sides of the story. So why do the abstinence-only programs, why do people support those, and why do people want those to be what we teach in our school districts? They believe that abstinence only is the only way to prevent pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. However, abstinence only programs rely on fear tactics. They tell adolescents that by, putting their lives at risk if they engage in any type of sexual activity. An abstinence-only program's sole purpose is to teach the social, psychological, and health gains to be realized by abstaining from any type of sexual activity. So these were the three things that I found that were most common in the different research that I found why people support the abstinence-only program. Now, what about sex education programs, and why is there such a push for these within our schools? I found a ton of different websites that had a lot of information as to why sex education should be taught. But amongst all of those websites, there were some common themes that came through, and that's what 4 or 5 things here I'm going to focus on that were on most of those articles and sites that I found. Well, those who push for sex education believe that teaching abstinence is still extremely important. They know that many teens are not going to abstain from having sex, and that we need to teach them about condoms and contraception and protecting themselves. So one of the sex education focuses is on teaching students how to make a responsible decision about having sex, about teaching them the information that they need to have in order to protect themselves. Sex education promoters believe that abstinence-only programs promote ignorance of sexually transmitted diseases, and they teach young people to, fear and be shameful and in denial of what they're doing. And their big push is they need to know the information in order to protect themselves if that's what they choose to do. Research has been done that's repeatedly shown that the comprehensive sex education program, which is the combination of teaching abstinence but also teaching sex education and how to protect yourself, this program has reduced teen pregnancy rates, and it's also delayed the age at which teens first engage in sexual intercourse. So these programs the sex education programs also emphasize the skills that students need to say no and to have the guts to say no to having sex and to stick with that decision. So these are just some of the things that I found about sex education that were the main reasons why they feel we need to have sex education in our schools. The United States has the highest teen pregnancy rate, and if we are not helping students get the information they need about protecting themselves, how are we going to prevent any type of teen pregnancy? Some other interesting things that I found, some facts or statistics: 56% of girls and 73% of boys have sexual intercourse before the age of 18. That is a huge percentage of our students that are having sex. So if we are just teaching them abstinence only and we're not giving them the information we need, then right there is a huge percentage of teen pregnancies that could have been prevented. Also, under Obama's health care reform law, the Affordable Care Act grants $50 million a year to abstinence-only education programs. I found nothing about any money that was allotted for sex education programs. It all was allotted and granted for abstinence-only programs. And one other thing I found interesting was there was a 2011 University of Pennsylvania study done that found 1/3, which is a huge number, of 6th and 7th graders became sexually active within 2 years of taking an abstinence-only program. So it doesn't seem, not that that's everybody, that was just one study, but that's still a huge number of kids that became sexually active within 2 years of taking an abstinence-only program. So I guess now I'd like you guys to kind of just have a little discussion as to what you think we should be teaching in our schools.